And you would expect on a nice cool day like this for Hosana to probably be a bit more active, but of course we never know how active he's been overnight. If he's been a busy little boy and moving all over last night, it's a very strong possibility. Now, of course, there are lots of big cats around in this area, and Crazy Shady, yes, leopards and lions do cross paths from time to time. Now, when that does happen, the leopards will almost always try get out of dodge. If a lion came across a leopard and managed to corner it, the lion would most certainly kill the leopard. So if a leopard does come across a lion, it'll either try sneak off or climb up a tree, anything to avoid too much contact with the biggest of the Africa's big cats. Now, we have seen some interactions, actually a long time ago, right at this very spot, or very close to where we're sitting right now. We had a male leopard called Mvula mating with a female leopard called Kwatile, and Karula was watching from the other side of the dam, and then all of a sudden 2 Styx lionesses snuck up and tried to chase the leopards. So that was actually right here, and well, probably it was a long time ago. We unfortunately can't see the tree that the lions ran up into. It is behind the dam wall. Maybe that big green tree there, Craig. I think it's behind the pole, unfortunately, that one there. Yes, you can just see the top of the tree. That's the tree that the leopards disappeared into when they were chased by the lions. So, yes, they do come into contact with each other, and sometimes we are in the area when that happens. Lions are a little bit more blasé about how they cruise around the African bush, so often the leopards will spot them first and then just sneak off. At the moment, Hosana is doing no sneaking. He's just doing some napping. But Tristan is out on foot, and he's found a chocho.
Yeah, that's exactly how we would describe it, Brent, because I actually don't know what it is. It's just an insect that is inside of a casing at the moment. So you can see there's this white little sort of casing. And if I turn the leaf a little bit more, you can see its little bum is sticking out at the moment. Now, I didn't get a good look at what the insect was. I can't even tell you if it's a spider or a beetle or what it is. But I think it was a little spider that was on the edge. And it's built this very interesting little kind of, what would you call it, house, effectively, that is inside there. And so it's kind of crawled in for safety, probably as I've come along. It's crawled in. Now, the reason I say it's a spider is, I'm going to let this go, Seb, and I want to show you now why, is that on the back side here, I don't want to disturb the little nest, but on the back side of this grass stem, you can see that there is a fly that is dangling from a bit of web that has been fed upon. So there's a little black fly that's inside there. So over here, there we go. I think it's a fly or some sort of insect that's dangling. So that's an indication that this is potentially a spider that's inside this little thing, and that it is caught. I don't know. I'm also not sure, Nikki. Is it a spider? I can't see nicely. It is very small, as you can see. That's my finger that it's resting on at the moment. So difficult to see any definition. Also, this light is so poor that it could be a drop-tail ant. I'm not sure. Sorry, Seb, I'm moving too much. But I'm not 100% sure what it is. I'm going to have a closer look. So, Nikki, you are probably in a better position to tell me if it's an ant or a spider or what it is. It looked like it had wings, but now that I've kind of turned it, it actually does look like a little ant that is kind of all curled up. So it seems as though the spider has grabbed an ant. Is it? It's not a drop tail, I don't think, but it is an ant by the looks of things. And so the spider's in its little house. It's probably envenomated this insect and is now waiting for the venom to go and work and try and break down everything inside there so that that spider can come out and start drinking it. As to what spider this could be, I have no idea. I couldn't see nicely what it was at all. All I saw was the little white spot, and then when I got there, kind of just saw a little abdomen sticking out. So I just want to have one closer look quickly. No, I have no idea what that is. Let's see. We'll try and kind of have a look and see if we can find something. And there's another little ant that's moving around also on the leaf itself. Now, Dwayne, finding a parabuthus scorpion is very, very difficult. In fact, this part of the world we see very few of them. We don't get many of the parabuthus transvalicus in this area. They bit further north of us. They like rocky areas, and as you know, here in the Sabi Sands, we're very, or Sabi Sand, should I say, we have very few rocky areas and outcrops, and so don't find many parabuthus scorpions here, unfortunately. It's not a place where it's good for them. In fact, I haven't seen a parabuthus here in many, many years. So, in terms of scorpions, what we could try and find would be a Pisticanthus, a Pistithalmus. We could find Olivaceous, Europlectes, so there's lots of different Europlectes species. Those are the kind of three families that we see a lot of, so there's a number of different scorpions within those, but those three families are quite common in this area, and so you might be able to find one of those, but scorpions are not easy to find now. At night is much easier. At night you just go with a black light or a UV light, and you just shine it on the dead trees, and you can invariably find a scorpion quite quickly. But finding them now at this time of the day, most of them are hiding, and the reason why is because they've got so many predators during the day. Dwarf mongoose, hornbills, all kinds of different bird species actually will go after them. There'll even be other scorpions, there'll be lizards, so they really can't afford to be out in the open during the daylight hours, otherwise they just get absolutely hammered. So you'll find that most of them are going to go try and hide now in a tree somewhere and try and kind of just stay out of the way and then come out at night. But we'll have a look. Let me see if maybe we check some of the dead trees, see if we can find something. While we do that, let's send you back across to a very sleepy Hosana.
Well, maybe he's decided that Easter Sunday is his day off as well. He was quite busy earlier on, but now he's having a good snooze. Now, the unfortunate thing about Hosana and his snoozing at this time of the morning, it means he could be quite difficult to find in the afternoon, because he might move a vast distance during the day. He's not scared of a long walk, our Hosana. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens on the afternoon safari, whether he is still right here around Twin Dams, or he has decided to go off on a march. Oh, wow. Well done. Chris Rogue has just tweeted a picture about the drive I was talking about, with lions and leopards coming into contact with each other. And it was April 5th, 2015. So nearly 3 years ago. Yeah, that's incredible. Almost to the day 3 years ago. I think, if I remember correctly, it was one of the few times we had two presenters on the car. It was Scott and myself. And that's because Wendy caught fire April 5th, 2015, while on drive. Yes, we've had a few scares with fires in the vehicles over the years, but that was a long time ago. Well, as I said, we're going to keep playing the patience game with Hosana, because he is generally such an active cat, In the meantime, though, unfortunately, Taylor has had to make space for some other people to come view the incredible inkahumas. So let's see what her plan is next.
Oh, we have. It's very, very sad indeed. Oh, but look who we've got. A squirrel. We did have a squirrel. That's a dwarf mongoose, though. And some turtle doves in the road. Oh, very nice. I can even hear a sterling wren warbler giving a little call in the distance, which is quite nice. In fact, it's really nice when you stumble across all the different animals. And then, David, there's even a yellow-billed hornbill just up and to the right of the turtle dove. Well, the turtle dove is taking it there. Well, what have you got? A little snack. 2 of you. Is there going to be a fight for the beetle or the grasshopper, whatever it may be eating? Very cool, hey? What an exciting morning it has been. And I am sorry we did have to move out of that lion sighting. Obviously, there's lots of very excited people who want to come and see it. But I hope that you all have enjoyed the safari just as much as all of us. We hope that you continue to have a really nice Easter. And hopefully these hornbills won't fight off on such a special day like today. But thank you very much for joining you. We'll see you this afternoon for the Sunset Safari. How many of you complained that we are closing the show early? Hey? I want names, Nikki. I want to call everybody out who was moaning that we were shutting down early. We're so funny. Come on, hornbills. Out you go. I did really have to leave, though, lion sighting, because there are lots of other people that are wanting to come in and have a look at them before they go, flat and fast asleep. But there we go. You all got tricked. Hashtag got tricked on April Fools and Easter. Whee, I got a free leaf with that. Amazing. Lynn, you said, hey, they're stopping early. Woo, busted. Caught. Next. Bring those names. Cheryl. Hi, Shez. Oh, man, you were just happy with it. You just said, no, thanks, everybody. Thanks, folks. Enjoy your Easter. Good spirit. Weather Wanderer? Yeah, why is it ending early? We'll comment from you. Okay. No one sounds too upset, though. Everybody's just a bit confused. Reptilian Research, I love yours. Your comment was, you got me, you awful people. We are fabulous. That was very funny. I'm glad we got some of you. Yeah, we won, and you thought that I was only going to be tricking Brent today. No, I'm really nervous to go back to camp, though, because I know he's going to try and prank me. Do you know what? Knowing Brent, though, he's probably not going to do anything now. He's going to wait a week and then try and prank me. But it's fine. Should we just see how long we can keep the pranks going? One of the things we did do last night as well is late last night we went down to back to the car park, because I was really hoping that these Land Rovers had chokes on them. And one of the best tricks ever is you go to the cars, and we did this once. We did all the vehicles when I first started guiding down in the Eastern Cape, and there must have been like 20 Land Cruisers and yes, we went. And you basically turn the choke really, really tight so that the revs are a lot higher than they normally are, like really high. So how I describe it, it's like driving in first gear, but you're going 60 kilometers an hour. So you just, redlining the car and then putting the 4x4 gear into neutral as well. And then you see people start their cars and the car goes, I don't know what's going on, checking something's pushing the accelerator down, and everyone panics and puts their car in neutral, and then they go, realize after a couple of turns, it's the choke. And so they'll turn the choke back down, and then they try to drive out, and then they don't go anywhere either, so you get them twice. That's the best. That is the best way to trick guides, especially new guides that have never had it happen to them before. So that was one of my favorite things to do. They used to do it to me a lot, which is why I know about it. When I first started guiding, everyone thought it was very funny. I did the first time, and then I would just get annoyed by it. No, I'm joking. I laugh at lots of things. But yeah. Ah, very nice. Lacey, almost. You said you were just about to complain that we closed early. We got you. We got you. That's the best, when you wind everybody up and then you go, but we were just joking. Come back, join us on the safari. Very, very nice. Wonderful. Hang on, there's something that I actually want to show you here. So when we were doing bushwalk yesterday, we came past the brown ivory tree. You're not going to be able to see it, however, because, well, we've got the rain roofs on. I'm going to get out quickly. But I've never eaten the fruit from a brown ivory tree. And I tried to find some yesterday, courtesy of the African green pigeons that have been living in here. They knocked some down for me, so I'm going to try and find a ripe one. And then I'm going to try and find some unripe ones too. Ooh. Oh, there go the African green pigeons, like I was telling you. Oh, there's another one. David, I'm getting you some because you're going to love this. I know you're going to love this. Might be a little bit sandy. May have had the odd bird peck at it, but we'll be all right. That one's good too. Okay. So here are the leaves from the brown ivory tree. They're quite soft. They're very soft, in fact, and full of sand at the moment. And here's the unripe fruit. Green. Lovely and green. And then, quite small. I'm going to throw that away now. This is what we want. My hands are now, of course, very dirty. This is the lovely yellow fruit, and it's delicious. It is so sweet. So, David, help yourself. You may just have to dust it off. But it'll be alright. I've eaten worse. Put worse things in my mouth before. I'm trying to show you the flesh now. Delicious. Pulpy, big seed in the middle though, but it's so tasty. You put the whole thing in your mouth and you... Very nice. I'm going to keep these for later. Full now, hey David? We don't need breakfast. No? So, I'm trying to think what it tastes like. A little bit... I don't know why we do that. Sorry everyone, let me quickly get that plugged in here. It's a hard taste to try and describe. It's a little bit bitter. You get a little bit of tannins. But it's sort of like an apricot, but a very mild apricot crossed with a grape kind of taste. Very sweet, very high in sugar. They're lovely. I may even have another one. They're so nice. Everyone loves to eat them. Us. Birds. Everybody. They're really, really tasty. Make your tongue a little bit bitter, but it's really not bad. A little bit bitter, hey, Darby? But again, those are the tannins. But so good. So, so, so good. Rexon and I were collecting lots yesterday and eating them all. He says there's so many out in the communities just outside the reserve. And he eats them all the time. Okay, dokes, well, we're going to go around and see what else we can find on this very gloomy Easter morning. Brent, however, is still sitting with Hosana. I wonder if Brent actually just popped his feet up and also had a nap.
No, Taylor, I have not popped my feet up and had a nap. And we're still hoping that he is going to get moving at some point this morning. So we're still playing the patience game. So you can see he's very much relaxed. Come on, Hosana. Maybe he's saving it all for the sunset safari. He'll be well rested by then. It is a lovely cool morning, so I'm sure he's very comfortable. This temperature is very nice for a snoozing cat. Hunter, yes, they do get stung by stinging insects, and it is quite funny when they do. Male lions in particular, they start growling and trying to bite tiny little things. It is very, very amusing when a big cat gets stung by a stinging insect. Or a scorpion. Sometimes then they're lying down on the ground, they will get stung by scorpions as well. But it is very, very amusing when that happens. They look completely confused. No, Equalizer, watching sleeping animals doesn't make me feel sleepy. I suppose I know the potential of what they can do in an absolute split second if the environment changes. So that's why patience is incredibly important when you're out on a safari, being able to wait for that magical moment. And often a lot of guides miss the magic moments because they don't have the patience to sit with a sleeping animal. Okay, well, as I said, we are playing patience this morning, and while we do that, it seems like Tristan is going to give a little botany lesson.
Well, I'm playing with grass while you're playing with your patience game, and I've got a very cool type of grass that I haven't seen in quite some time, kind of that has been seeding at least. So this clump of grass that you see here is quite a common species that we get in this area. You do see it quite a lot, actually particularly down in the sort of southern Sabi sands. It's all over the place there. Now it is a bit wet this morning, so it's going to be difficult to see if it'll actually do what it normally does, but it's got a very cool little thing about this grass. You can see it's all kind of clumped together, and so what happens, I'll just drop that there for now. So what happens when there is a situation where rain comes or water is applied to it, the grass actually has a very cool thing. So I'm going to actually just try and lick this grass, which sounds really weird, but I am going to do it, and hopefully it will work. So basically what you need to do is you need to be able to wet it a little bit, and then hopefully it will do what it's supposed to do. Now can you see? This one is doing it. The other two are not behaving, but this one is doing it. It is moving on its own. Do you see that? So that is not the wind. It is not me. It is the grass itself is twisting and turning on its own. So as you apply moisture to this particular grass species, so what happens is it basically acts like a corkscrew. The grass is twirled and it starts to untwirl, and it pushes that seed deeper into the ground in order to propagate growth and for the seed to actually effectively plant itself is basically what's going on. Now it's called spear grass, and the reason why it's called spear grass, I'll grab this one that's not working while you guys have a look at that one that's kind of turning. But at the end of the grass seed, if you have a look there, you can see, can you see that little hook shape that it's got? It almost looks like a harpoon, so that's why it's gotten the name spear grass, is because it's got this little kind of spear head to it that is very, 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 very sharp. And so basically what happens is if it's kind of an animal walks past, it just clips in like that, and then as it gets wet, so that seed will kind of twist out, and it then pushes deeper into the grass with that sharper segment. And basically once it's turned all the way, you see I've kind of turned it, and then inside there is the little seed. So I'm just trying to grab it, sorry guys, but there we go. That's the actual seed itself. The rest of the grass is just there to help it kind of plant itself and get it transported and germinate in other areas. Isn't that cool? So I think it's a very, very, very cool thing to do. And like I say, kids love this. So if you do this to kids, they often think, you tell them that it's a magic trick, and they then obviously think that you're joking with them. But this is not moving. There's not moving much at all. Sometimes when it's very dry in the winter period, so if we wait maybe another 3 weeks or so, even yesterday it would have actually worked really well, and you do this, it actually like goes quite fast. It's almost sort of like a little whirlwind that happens. It's very, very cool to do. So it's a nice thing. And Nikki says that I'm making fun of her because she was amazed by it, and it's the first time she's seen it, and she says that I'm calling her a little kid. But it's okay. It's always good to be in touch with your inner youth and to feel youthful once again. Good. Let's carry on. Now, I'm going to quickly send you across to Taylor. I believe she's got something exciting.
Look, look, look. Yes! Go, Hornbill, go. It just devoured a centipede. Woohoo! One less centipede to worry about that could potentially crawl into our shoes or into our beds. That was so epic. I always thought it was an earthworm. Then as David then zoomed in, it was a rather large centipede. Now, they're nasty critters. They bite. Goodness, you don't want to be bitten by one of those. I'd imagine it's quite painful. I can thankfully say I've never been bitten by one. But you, sir, have done your duty for the day. So thank you very much, little hornbill. Hey, wasn't that cool? I love it. Not a fan of centipedes, as you can imagine from the sighting. Not my favorite. So I'm quite glad. I just want to clap for that bird. Well done. You must be so full now. I hope it killed it and it's not going to try and wriggle back out of its belly. Oh, epic. Okay, where are we going to go now, David? Chelepan. Back to Chelepan we go. We'll have a little scratch around there. Then I think we might go through Spaghetti Junction. I like that name. And go down to... I think we'll go a little bit in the Mulwati and then maybe take Vulture's Nest and check Central. Have a little scratch around there. Maybe Gari Cutline for some elephants. That's going to be the plan anyways. What else we got? Oh, okay. Well, this is quite cool to have a small, elusive antelope on foot with Tristan.
We do indeed, and so on foot, generally, you never get a glimpse of these guys, but this particular little fella is as relaxed as they come. You can see, look, it's not even actually paying attention to us anymore. It's now starting to feed, and we are standing, I would say, maybe 25 meters, 20 meters from where this little steenbok is, and you can't generally get that close even in a vehicle, but on foot, this little one is just kind of going back about its business. It's the most relaxed steenbok I think I've ever seen on foot. Generally, they just run away from you all the time, so it's super cool to see. We've had a very cool morning with random things, so hyenas on foot that have been quite close, and then this little guy as well. It's so cool. I can't believe how relaxed it is and how it's not actually that bothered that it was even try and start feeding while we're sitting here. Now, there must be two of them. I'm pretty sure there is a female around here somewhere, and I'm sure this is the steenbok that comes off quarantine, and that's maybe the kind of clue as to why it's so relaxed. It probably sees bushwalk every single day going past it, and it's just learned that we're not a threat to it in any way, and that's why it's happy to sit like this and just kind of enjoy having a little bit of a feed in close proximity to us. Most other antelopes, in fact every other antelope out here, including fellow steenboks, would probably never let us get even remotely this close to where they are. So it's pretty amazing to see. So Dale, you say you love them and that they are your favorite. They are very cool little things and amazing little creatures. They can survive in some of the harshest conditions that we have in Africa. You find them even in the desert regions, and funny enough, they are probably one of the animals that are least water dependent. So in drought times, these guys will do better than anybody else, and the reason why is that they actually will drink a lot of their water comes from not only the plants that they eat, but also from any bit of dew that forms. So as soon as there's a bit of dew, they will go along to each little grass, and they'll actually drink from the grass itself rather than making their way to a water hole to drink. So they're a species that can survive in very arid climates. You see them in the desert areas of southern Africa. So very, very cool little animal, and the way that they keep themselves safe always amazes me. The good news, you say they are cute with their little horns. They are, aren't they? I mean, this is a fully grown male. He probably thinks he's a prize fighter and a beast of an individual, but for us, he's got the cute factor because he's a little bit smaller. But you can see he's come right out into the open, and I honestly think that this is probably the best steenbok sighting I've ever had at Djuma, even with being on a vehicle. So this little guy is just completely relaxed. The fact that he's come right out into the open is astounding. Normally they go into a thicket and they'll sit there and watch you, or they'll bound away, but this one is just completely relaxed, even enough to turn its back from us and feed, which is amazing. So JC, steenbok generally will live, it's obviously dependent on areas that they live in and predation and the amount of predators that they have. Here in the Sabi Sands, their time frames that they live is a little bit shorter because of the number of predators. Remember, these guys are hunted by everything from pythons to martial eagles to crown eagles to all the other cats, wild dogs, even hyenas will go after them. So they have a number of different predators out here. And so most of these guys will probably only live to about 6-7 years old max in this part of the world, but they can go as much as 10, which is pretty cool. So 10 and I believe in captivity there might have even been a recorded case of more than that, closer to 12, but that's generally the lifespan. And like I say, here around 6 is probably what you would see coming out of most of the Steenbok, given that there are such a high amount of predators. It's the same with things like impalas and duikers, and they're all in the same boat, as they unfortunately get themselves killed fairly regularly and early on. So not a massive amount of years that gets put on the clock given the amount of predators we have. But I'm absolutely flabbergasted at how relaxed this guy is. I wonder if we were to move, if it would run away or if it's just going to watch us walk by. Let's try. Let's see how we go here, Seb. Let's see how we can kind of move, because I don't want to disturb it too much, but at the same time, I'm curious to see if it's that relaxed that it'll just let me keep coming up the road, which it seems to be doing. So we're not making any attempt to try and stalk it or to try and kind of hide ourselves. We're right out in the open. And this little guy is still just sitting right here, busy chewing away. I think he's decided, no, he's going to start walking off. This is ridiculous. Very, very cool to see. You can see they are quite jumpy, though. They get these sort of ears that prick up, and then they watch what's going on, and they kind of get very tense as they walk, and they make sure that they're not getting themselves caught out. But he's going to disappear now just behind a little thicket and move away from us, so we'll leave him be. And while we do that, let's go across to somebody who would probably love to have one of those right now.
Yes, I think Hosana would definitely enjoy an Easter Steenbokkie for breakfast. Unfortunately for him, there's not much around him at the moment, but again, we're next to an area that has got a high thoroughfare of game, so there's always a very good chance that something just might appear at any moment. But we've managed to move into a spot where we can get a slightly better view of him. Cheeky, geeky Beth, spot patterns are not generally hereditary. Like fingerprints, they are going to be unique depending on the individual. So they are not hereditary. So unfortunately not. A lot of people, they're not hereditary. Unfortunately, it would make IDing cats a lot easier, wouldn't it? There we go, you can see Hosana's little spot pattern there. He is such a gorgeous individual. Let me just see if I can find my map for Julie. Julie is wondering, where is Hosana? So, Hosana is there, literally at Twin Dams itself. The elephant carcass is there, and the lions are here. So everything's happening in the south this morning. Actually, none of us have really checked the north, so you never know. There could be stuff happening up in the north as well. We'll have to look this afternoon. And he is a very comfy looking cat. The temperature is actually getting colder and colder as the morning goes on, which is going to be perfect weather for the Easter Sunday quarantine cricket match. Okay, next, just go again with that question, please. Roshni is wondering about the Jacobson's organ and the sense of smell. Oh, he's having a dream. You see that? His little eyes flashing away, and his lips and his whiskers tweaking. Silly little cat. He's dreaming of Tristan Stenbock. Or actually, knowing Hosana, he's probably dreaming of taking an adult giraffe or buffalo up a tree. But Roshni, the Jacobson's organ and smell work together. So the Jacobson's organ is generally only used when there is the sense of smell. Smell is also used when smelling other leopards, but the Jacobson's organ is if they're trying to get more information about that individual. Oh, he's dreaming. Oh, he's woken up. Did he wake up? No. Silly kitty. Yeah. Nikki says she thinks the dream woke him up. Maybe he dreamt he dropped his buffalo out of the tree and hyena ran off with it. Hi, Gary. Now, what we do between drives, Gary, it all depends on the day. And today we're playing cricket, but most of the time each of the different presenters has, the presenters we have our own things to do. We do some admin, some reading up on things we might not know as much about as we would like, and then the production team have quite a lot to do during the day, to do with little Safari Live stories, little videos, and sometimes we have review meetings. So every day varies in what we have to do. So cameramen have to log all the footage that they've filmed, and what else do cameramen do? Sleep a lot. So sometimes we'll have a little nap during the day, but there's lots of different things that need to be done during the day. Now, there's quite a few vehicles wanting to come into Hosana. There's 2 here at the moment. So, oh, he's dreaming again. So I'm going to make some space for the other vehicles to come in and see Hosana, and hopefully we can catch up with them again this afternoon on the Sunset Safari. In the meantime, let's see where Tristan is tramping to.
Well, we have found ourselves another tortoise. It's perfect tortoise weather today, and so we've got ourselves another Speaks hingeback tortoise, and this actually is a really nice example of a hingeback tortoise for the simple reason. Seb, I'm going to try and just get rid of some of this grass quickly so that I can show you what's going on. So let's try not to disturb our tortoise too much. But if you have a look here, on this sort of edging over here, there is a situation where there is a kind of slit in the shell. Now you would think that almost looks like the shell has been damaged over there, but it's not. That is where the hingeback name comes from. So that is the hinge itself. There is tissue that is attached between those sort of breaks in the shell, and as it gets attacked by something like a predator, what you'll find is that they will basically pull their shell down, and that protects the tail and the legs that are inside this shell. So it basically clamps up the back part and stops anything from getting towards their back end, where it's a lot more kind of soft and the tissue is easy to be pierced. The front side, they've got these armor-plated legs with these big scales on the front that help them to be able to kind of protect their face, but the back side is where it is a little bit more vulnerable. And you can actually see something has tried to go at this tortoise before. There's a big chip out of its shell over there, so maybe something like a lion or a leopard got hold of it. There's a little tooth mark there, and so they will often get bitten and chewed on by leopards and lions particularly, and sometimes If it's young individuals, and we know that we've seen the Nkahuma sub-adults do it, we've seen Hosana do it, sometimes their jaws aren't strong enough to actually get through, and then you get these kind of little chip marks that you see on their shells. And so these poor tortoises get manhandled regularly by all kinds of different predators. And funny enough, the only ones that really can kind of hammer these guys effectively are the ground hornbills and the hyenas. Those are the two really big predators for a Speke's hingeback tortoise, or in fact any tortoise that we get in this area. But you can see it's starting to just poke its head out. It wants to start trying to kind of head home and head away from us. Don't want to stress it out too much, and so that's why we kind of just had a quick look at it. And it's got a much more pronounced hinge than what we saw from the tortoise earlier, and that's why I wanted to show all of you. I'm pretty sure this is a female, given the size that she is, and so we'll leave her alone and leave her to carry on and enjoy her morning. Very, very cool. Good. Right, so we're going to start heading back and sort of back towards home. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor McCurdy, who's bumbling about.
We are just doing a bit of a bumble now, driving around looking for things that want to be seen. So far, nobody wants to be seen. We haven't seen any more centipedes being eaten by bulls. I'm really sad. I wish we got to watch that takedown. I would love that centipede put up a fight. They are very feisty critters, and I don't think it would have gone down very easily. I don't even know where it would have caught it, if it maybe pulled it out from a fallen tree or underneath. Perhaps the centipede was unfortunately crossing the road and then got captured by that red hornbill. We're just coming up here to have a little squiz. I don't think anybody's driven the sort of northern boundary. Well, Buffalo boundary. I don't think Brent has been up here either this morning. So we'll have a look, because there have been obviously lots of reports of wild dogs in Buffalo and then also down in the west. Keep the eyes open, check for tracks. Yeah, we didn't really do much driving around Djuma today. We kind of just stayed within the same area. So yeah, I'm quite excited about our cricket game, although this weather is making me just actually want to go back to bed and watch some series. I'm really... We're never going to get away from it though, but I'm pretty sure most of the people in camp would actually prefer to just go back to bed today and play cricket tomorrow, but I know Brent's not going to allow us to do that. I have no energy to play cricket. Oh! G'day, King. Oh, I don't know why I did an Australian accent there, because if you don't know how to play cricket, then if you're Australian you would know, because they basically hand you a cricket bat, a ball when you're born. Doesn't you can be boy or girl. Cricket is a big sport with both males and females. Pretty cool. I wish it was bigger with girls in South Africa, because I definitely would have played it at school. They're starting to have it in school now. Brent will probably be the best one to explain to you how to play cricket, but so I'll leave that to him. I didn't play it at school. I just was taught it. I've never played an official match, and to be honest, I'd honestly rather watch wet paint dry than watch it on TV, Kevin. There's nothing more boring than watching cricket on TV, but you go to the stadiums and you watch them live. It's a lot of fun, of course. Here's a good South African word: gees. Gees. G-E-E-S is how you spell it, and gees is just like spirit, the vibe, but good, positive. And that the gees at a stadium in South Africa, it's amazing with any sport. So yeah, so essentially you have a bat. You have a ball. It's quite a hard ball. I don't actually know what it's made of. Brent will be able to tell you. Like I said, you have some wickets on either side, and you have people that will bowl to you. They don't throw the ball. There's a technique. Perhaps Brent can demonstrate. I'm sure he'd love to demonstrate. He can show you how to spin bowl, or perhaps you're a pace bowler and you bowl exceptionally quickly. And then, well, the aim is to try and hit the wickets, or a number of other things. And if you don't hit the wicket, well then the person with the bat is going to try and hit the ball, and they can score that way. You can get 4s and 6s by hitting it over the boundary. If it just hits the boundary rope, it's a 4. If it goes over without touching the floor, then it's a 6. You get 6 points. Otherwise, you can run as well. Every time you run from one side of the pitch to the other, you get single runs. So we call them runs. Those are the points. And then, yeah, if you hit the ball up and somebody catches you before it bounces, you get caught out. If you're out of your crease, so the mark on the ground on the pitch, you have to have 1 foot behind it. Well, then someone, the wicket keeper, is going to probably take the ball, and if you've gone to hesitate and run, or you've stood in to take a big swing to try and get a 6, and you miss, that wicket keeper can throw the ball at the wickets and basically knock you out. It's a fun game. But we'll get Brent to do some demonstrations for you, because he's probably much better at it than I am. Like I said, I learned how to play it. But sadly, I've never actually played an official match or anything like that. Just been surrounded by it. Anyways, let's go across to Brent, who's hopefully going to do some demonstrations on the wonderful game, cricket.
Okay, we're just going to go through the basics. I'm not sure if Taylor quite covered them there. So your field is called an oval. So it's round in shape, and the boundary is around the edge of the oval. It's normally a white rope. If you hit the ball with a bounce over the boundary, you get 4 runs. If you hit the ball over the boundary without a bounce, you get 6 runs. Now, if you have 2 batsmen, so batsmen are the ones with wearing the bats and carrying the bats to hit the ball, and you have an on-strike batsman who the bowler is not throwing, bowling the ball towards, and you can score other runs by running between the wickets. Okay, now your bowler is the person who launches the ball, but you can't throw it at the batsman. You have to bowl it with a straight arm like that, and then the various different fielding positions I'm not going to go into in too much depth, but you have 11 players per team. Normally, I think we're going to only have 6 or 7 due to our numbers in camp at the moment, but the idea is quite simple. The batting team wants to score as many runs as possible, and the bowling team wants to hit the wickets. Oh, I forgot about the wickets. So the wickets are 3 pieces of wood behind the batsman, but if the bowler hits the wickets, you're out. So the bowling team or the fielding team wants to get the batsman out, and the batsmen want to score as many runs as possible before going out. That's pretty much the basics of it. Now, you have a wicket keeper, so he stands behind the wickets in case the batsman touches the ball ever so slightly with his bat, and he can catch it and he's out. Any of the fielders catch the ball without touching the bat of the batsman, you're out. The more complicated way to get someone out, so there are 4 ways to get someone out. You can hit the wickets, you can catch the ball, you can run someone out. What that means is if you're trying to take a run, to score a run by running between the wickets, there's a white line called a crease. If the fielding team throws the ball and hits the wickets while you are outside of your crease, you're out. And the last way to get someone out is called LBW. And LBW means leg before wicket. And what happens is if you play at the ball and you miss it and it hits your legs, but your legs are stopping the ball from hitting the wicket, you're out. Yvette says backwards baseball. No, Yvette, cricket's been around longer than baseball. I'm pretty sure that baseball somehow comes from cricket in some way or another. As far as I understand, baseball is not as old as cricket. Cricket's been around a lot longer. Christine, baseball with flat bats? No, not quite. It's quite a bit more complicated than baseball in terms of all the rules and regulations. But yeah, I suppose I'm pretty sure baseball derives from cricket at some point, because cricket's quite a bit older than baseball. It is good fun. Now, the person I said who played the most serious cricket out of all of us, I'm thinking about all the presenters here, all played pretty high-level sport. And Taylor was horse riding and hockey, if I remember correctly. Tristan was cricket, and I was rugby. But we all played pretty high level of those sports. But yeah, Tristan was a bowler in the cricket, more than a batsman. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I suppose all the current presenters here at the moment all played a relatively high-level sport. I, of course, think rugby is the best sport by far, by a million miles. But I must say, I'm going to enjoy bowling at certain staff members. With my height, I can make the ball bounce into their ribs. There are 11 members on the fielding team, Mrs. Grumpy, so there are 9 people fielding. There's 1 person keeping wicket and the other person bowling. Now, cricket in certain forms can go on for a very, very long time. There is a thing called a test match, which South Africa are busy currently smashing Australia at, and that is a 5-day test match. So it's 5 days to finish the game. And there are 3 different types of cricket. You have a 20-20, which means you only get 20 overs. So that means there's 6 balls in an over, so you only get 120 balls or whatever it is. There's another thing Hosana would like to find this morning. A little grey Duiker. You got him there, Craig? Through the gap. Do you want me to go forward? Angle, sorry. Well, it's being a very nice Duiker. It's not running either. There we go. It's a little boy. Hello, little Duiker. And normally they dash off, so it seems like it's a good day to look at little antelopes because they're not running away. Tristan Steenbok and our grey Duiker. Now, grey Duiker is the 3rd smallest antelope that occurs in the Sabi Sands. The other one is, the next smallest is the Steenbok. And the smallest antelope in the Sabi Sands is the Sharps Grijsbok. We don't really see Sharps Grijsbok in this part of the Sabi Sands. I used to see them around certain rocky areas in the south, and I know there's been one seen in Buffelshoek before, but only one. So they are around, they're very small, but the smallest antelope in Africa is called the royal antelope, and it is very, very tiny. The second smallest antelope in Africa is the blue Duiker. They also do occur in certain parts of the Sabi Sands, but not around here. And they are also very, very small. They prefer thicker forested areas than the other Duiker species. Ooh, it's gotten colder and colder. Okay, now what I'm going to do is survey quarantine to look for a suitable cricket pitch. And while we do that, let's see where Madam McCurdy is at this very moment.
Oh, I feel like there's absolutely no way getting out of this cricket game, is there? I just want to go to sleep, Brent. That's all. Please tell me it'll be a short game so that we can have naps today, because it's great napping weather. It's so nice and cool. We are on Gallagher Road at the moment, making our way home as well. I haven't seen a blue Duiker in a very, very, very long time. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw one. Probably in the Eastern Cape. We used to see them quite often. In fact, we were really lucky. And I think I've told you about the strangest sighting that I had where we had a group of them together. And I was really confused by this. And I'd taken a horrible cell phone picture way back when because I didn't know how unusual the sighting was, and walked into the sort of bar area at the lodge that I was working at. All the guys were having a cup of coffee after a very wet and miserable winter safari, as they normally are in the Eastern Cape, and they were all shocked. They couldn't believe it. There were so many together. I don't know why they all came together. It was weird. I mean, the females only have one young at a time, so it's not like it was mom and all her little ones. And then I've never seen anything like it again. It was crazy, but I can't find the photo. I'm pretty sure I put it on Facebook, but like years ago, so I'll have to try and have a little scroll through and see if I can find it. Now, Christina, looking at the differences between a Steenbok and a Duiker, maybe someone can shots with you. I don't have pictures with me at the moment, but we've seen both on safari, the Duiker now with Brent, and the Steenbok on foot with Tristan, which is pretty spectacular, and just to see a Steenbok in general, they're so shy. So the Steenbok is a little bit smaller than the common Duiker. The colour difference is also quite different. The Duiker in this case being sort of a greyish brown, whereas the Steenbok is almost like a reddish colour, if you will. That's where they actually get their name from. Typically, they've also got a very white underbelly to them. And I'm just trying to think now, because hang on, I have a mammals book here. For the life of me, I'm now trying to figure out what a Steenbok looks like. Does it also have preorbital glands like the Duiker? I'm sure it does. For the life of me, I can't remember. Where do I have to go? I think we're going to go here. Gazelle? No, we want an antelope. This looks like it's a duck. Steenbok. Yeah, they do have preorbital glands. I don't know why I didn't think that they had. Let me look here. You can't see nicely. See, this doesn't really demonstrate much. That's why I wasn't too worried about showing you in this book. Those are Steenbok over there, but you can't see much. The males, you can see, had the horns, but they do. They both got preorbital glands. One of the differences is just really size. The way that they defecate, very similar, very, very similar. Very small, except with the Steenbok, which is quite cool, and sort of just telling the difference between track and sign, is that Steenbok tend to sort of cover their dung with sand and soil, whereas Duiker don't do that. So if you find dung that's sort of half been covered, or had some sand sort of scraped over it, you know it's from a Steenbok. Tricking myself by taking my car to neutral and just sort of idling. Oh. But I suppose we better keep it up. Hey, Sally. Sally, what? I have a suspicion that we're going to have eggs Benedict today, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be hot cross buns. That will definitely appear. Perhaps it's a hot chocolate morning. Hey, David? I think we need to have some hot chocolate. But I think we are going to have eggs Benedict, because I know there was a request. Whether that request will be fulfilled, I'm not sure. But anyways, it's been a fun day. Thank you for putting up with all our nonsense. And for those of you that got tricked, we'll keep you on your toes. Off you go to Brent for the last few minutes of the show.
Well, there we go. This looks to be the best potential cricket pitch we have here. Nice and firm. Some bounce for the seam bowlers, for the fast bowlers like Tristan. Some hyena tracks for the turn for the spinners like Conrad and me. So there's hyena tracks, and I think this is a suitable cricket pitch. Nice and hard, get the bounce on, nice and flat. I think there's enough in the track for the batsman, but I've got a feeling that batting is going to be the most difficult today, because I think I don't think any of us are batsmen. Most of us are bowlers. Slight all-rounders. I used to be a slogger. No, there's no tackling of players in cricket, Jared's buddy. That's rugby. But no, you can't tackle in cricket. It is a gentleman's game. You are not even allowed to make physical contact with the opposition in proper cricket. You can be fined and banned from playing if you are caught making physical contact on purpose with an opposition player. And I think this is definitely the spot for the cricket pitch. So at breakfast we'll be choosing teams, and it's going to be interesting. Batman, are you a batsman or a bowler? Batman says he's just good at everything. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens out on the pitch. So Batman's laid down the statements. So we're going to see what happens. I'm very excited for this cricket match. I hope I get to bowl against Taylor McCurdy to get her back for that salt this morning. I'm going to get some head-high balls. And we will let you know who won a little later. So goodbye from all of us.